I think that it depends on the level that is within the group. So I'm not sure. You might already have gone past it, but I think something something I do in my courses is that I also try to develop habits in students. And something that's inspired me was the story of Sheikh Hamdullah, his 40-day seclusion of his pieces. So I set my students 40-minute, 40-day challenge. I've classed it as that, but it's really inspired by Sheikh Hamdullah. So around about 3 weeks into the course, I set them this challenge where I say that you need to spend 40 minutes every day for 40 days. And if you're able to accomplish that, then it becomes a habit. So really, sometimes people have the difficulty of sitting. So if you enjoy it so much, but you have difficulty sitting, you need to address that first, because calligraphy is long hours of sitting. And so some students who have tried that have seen it's also like a mental confidence aspect for them as well, because in 8 weeks, if you don't practice, you won't see your progress. But if you sit there for 40 days, and even if it means just working on 2 letters for 40 minutes every day, they themselves have seen that progress, the few students that have tried it. So that's something I would encourage everyone, is to get into the habit of sitting regularly and to be consistent with it. So once with the view of increasing that. For mothers, I guess, because I think a lot of times, as a mother, people want to know how I'm managing the two. There's something that I tried with my children was that I wanted them to introduce this idea of training, how everything needs certain practice. So I said that we were going to have a calligraphy lesson. So I set the same time every day, and they sat with me and they played with the columns, they wrote with the columns. But what that did, sitting down at the same time every day for like 30 minutes, what that did was create that space of mentally knowing that this time is dedicated to calligraphy. So they stuck with it for 10 days with myself, but then they learned that time was a calligraphy lesson. So sometimes they would watch me and be cheeky and push my arm a little bit, and so just so that it would smudge a little. But in their minds, and also in my mind, that time that was set every day at the same time, it created the space. So then you start to evolve your time around, I need to cook before that, or I need to get the kids' routine done, so that we can all sit down as a family and just move the column, just to keep that practice going. And I think also your intention, your prayer, I can't stress that enough. To relax, you need to do things before you start calligraphy. You should find ways to relax yourself, because in all honesty, you need at least an hour to warm up before you actually start writing, because you're trying to get to bring everything together to write those perfect letters. So if you're traveling, for example, if you're working and you're traveling, you've just come off the tube, there is a certain amount of stress, so you have to de-stress yourself a little. So be aware of your physical, your mental, your environment, and address those before you even begin writing, because otherwise the frustration is misplaced. It may not be your writing, it may be something that's troubled you beforehand. So I would say, when I was in Istanbul, I was reading 2 rakats of prayer before I began. I can't do that now, but doing, if you can, to do wudu, just to for the water element to wash away just to cleanse yourself a little bit, or have a shower, or if you like to listen to classical music or something that will relax you, to prepare you to start your practice. That prayer in whichever way you want, because it's not an easy task, and it will take time, and you do need to persevere. The beauty about being in Istanbul is that you have everybody in a similar boat. You can constantly talk to each other. But when you're isolated a little bit, it's more difficult to get that same kind of inspiration by yourself. So I think what you've done with Scripts and Scribes and set up a little community, it's perfect. It's recreating that environment in the States, and it will certainly help.